competition. Might the Massachusetts senator be better served by taking this beef off the grill? Is it beef at all, or is it really more of a Beyond Burger? Whether or not you believe the Sanders campaign was attacking Warren, or the situation full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, the timing of the dust-up is very, very notable. This manufactured dust-up by Elizabeth Warren. The entire situation comes as candidates are focused in the fevered final weeks over the run-up to the February 3rd Iowa caucuses, the first contest in the Democratic primary process for 2020. Sanders and Warren both placed first and second, respectively, in a major poll released Friday, and Sanders unquestionably is surging in the polls. Warren's worried. Everybody's worried who isn't part of the Sanders campaign, and they want us to do something to stop it because Bernie Sanders represents an existential threat to the entire system where Elizabeth Warren simply does not. That is the reality situation here, folks. So that's how this whole thing started. And then another insane hammer dropped. Again, amid fresh warnings that progressives in the U.S. should be on guard against efforts by the corporate media to sow division between the Sanders and Warren's campaigns, CNN came under fire Monday afternoon after publishing this unsubstantiated hit piece that cited anonymous sources not even in the room at the time, claiming Bernie Sanders privately told Elizabeth Warren in 2018 that, quote, a woman could not win the presidency. Sanders told CNN in an aggressive, on-the-record pushback that the claims were absolutely false. Kristen Orthman, the Warren campaign's communication director, on the other hand, declined a comment for the story by CNN's political correspondent, MJ Lee. It is ludicrous to believe that at the same meeting where Elizabeth Warren told me she was going to run for president, I would tell her that a woman couldn't win. Sanders told CNN, it's sad that 3 weeks before the Iowa caucus and a year after that private conversation, notice the timing here, staff who weren't in the room are lying about what happened. What I did say that night was Donald Trump is a sexist, racist liar who would weaponize whatever he could. Do I believe a woman can win in 2020? Of course. After all, Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by 3 million votes in 2016. So MJ Lee reports that the claims of what was said at the meeting, which took place at Warren's apartment in Washington, D.C. in December of 2018, before either had announced their candidacy, are based on reports of 4 people, none of whom were actually in the room when Sanders and Warren spoke. 2 of them were people Warren spoke with directly soon after the encounter, and 2 other people were those familiar with the meeting. So they could have been the Warrens' third cousin twice removed. This is literally what it could have been. And how they could have really stretched that out. It is insane. So direct denial from the accused sources and no comment from the camp. It comes from 4 anonymous sources, none of whom were in the room. Commented journalist Jack Crosby, formerly of Splinter News. Shout out Splinter News, by the way. We miss him. Anyway, so Jack Crosby, formerly of Splinter News, haven't been an editor in a while, but that's going to be a yikes, let's hold this from me. Others highlighted that Ortham, though given an opportunity, declined to comment on behalf of the Warren campaign. So Sanders denies and Warren's team won't comment, said political commentator Jordan Ull of CNN's decision to publish this piece. F it, let's run it anyway. Numerous people also took the opportunity to show just how consistent Sanders has been on the question of a woman, including Warren, running for president, winning, going back decades. This is something that is objectively, it's been in all reports, it's been true. The fact that Sanders urged Warren to run in 2016 and a refusal to do so was the main reason he decided to enter the race. By all reports, that's what happened. He wanted Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016, but she wouldn't challenge Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's what's going on here. That is what's going on here. And, of course, then we have this little quote.
The real issue is not whether you're black or white, whether you're a woman or a man. In my view, a woman could be elected president of the United States. The real issue is, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of workers and poor people, or are you on the side of big money and the corporations? The real issue...
Yeah, again, I'll play that for you again.
It was not whether you're black or white, whether you're a
woman or a man. In my view, a woman could be elected president of the United States. A woman could be elected president. He literally said that there in 1988. So from 1988, people, come on. With some critics focused their ire on Warren for not immediately pushing back against the reporting, which again, as she as of now has come out and said that she has supported this. Lightly sourced and denied by Sanders, the liberal media desperately wants you to wants these candidates and their campaigns to fight over BS. Before you dig in your heels, ask yourself why that may be. Yeah, so that is a very good question, I think, to ask. This is Sam Adler-Bell. But I do kind of reject this framing here. I want to point the blame more firmly on Elizabeth Warren. So she's coming out and she's saying that this is I'll read you the statement. I'll come out and read you the statement that Elizabeth Warren has released about this. She has said, don't know if it's on her Twitter or not, but what she has said, her statement released on this. And again, this is an incredible quote that Bernie is a sexist old man. This is what she's saying here. Bernie's a sexist old man. And do you want to hear probably what I think actually happened? Bernie Sanders was in this meeting being like, let me just say, Elizabeth, Donald Trump, he's a sexist. He's a misogynist. It's going to be very hard for you as a woman. He will attack you along the basis of sex. Like that's like that. If anything, if there's any truth to the story, I'm assuming, and again, it could be wrong about this. I was in the room. Most CNN sources, all of CNN sources, were not in the room either. So they can't claim to have that over me. But the truth is, like, they weren't in the room, and if I had to assume what was going on, just based on my knowledge and my intense following of this story, that's most likely what he said, if there is any truth to this at all. I don't believe he said, yeah, you're a woman, you can't win. Sorry, you're a woman. It's because you're a woman, you can't win. Go back to the kitchen, Elizabeth. Like, does anyone believe that? I mean, come on. I think Bernie Sanders should not hesitate to attack her for this other debate, because this is ridiculous. This is about as dirty as politics gets here. So Bernie and I met. This is the statement. Elizabeth Warren says that Elizabeth Warren's staff undoubtedly started. This was a coordinated political hit with CNN. They undoubtedly leaked this story. They undoubtedly started this beef. This is what they say. Bernie and I met for more than 2 hours in December 2018 to discuss the 2020 election, our past work together, and our shared goals: beating Donald Trump, taking back our government from the wealthy and well-connected, and building an economy that works for everyone. Among the topics that came up was what would happen if Democrats nominated a female candidate. I thought a woman could win. He disagreed. So pretty much saying the entire report is true. I have no interest in discussing this private meeting any further because Bernie and I have far more in common than our differences on punditry. I am in this race to talk about what's broken in this country and how to fix it. I do know Bernie in this race for the same reason. We have been friends and allies in this fight for a long time, and I have no doubt we will continue to work together to defeat Donald Trump and put our government on the side of the people. Okay, there's one thing I got to say here. The Bernie Sanders campaign just cannot tolerate this. This is absolutely ridiculous. The fact, like, this could very well easily get out there. I mean, this story is only breaking Monday evening. Who knows what kind of story it's going to be Tuesday morning, Tuesday into the day before the debate. This is, again, the most conveniently timed thing ever. The most more than a year, 2 years plus after this happened. What was the exact time frame here? It was 2 years plus after this happened. 3 weeks and a year after this private conversation. Staff who were in the room are lying about what happened. What I did say was, this was from Bernie Sanders' statement there. But it is absolutely one of the most ridiculous things in the world for Warren to come out and say, yeah, me and Bernie are friends, but then start this story, refuse to come out and condemn it, and be like, he's sexist. That's what I'm going with now. As she follows, as he rises in the polls. And, like, this guy was fighting for women's rights while Elizabeth Warren was a Republican. So I don't want to hear any of it. She's out there speaking at the Federalist Society and it is quite mind-blowing and incredible. This has just happened. This is probably about as really devastating as this gets. So this is Saagar Enjeti on Tucker Carlson about this. Let's listen in.
Really is surging. This isn't just one of those storylines of the week that you can dismiss as stupid. This seems maybe more real than most of them. Do you agree with that?
It's definitely real. You see him at the top of the Des Moines Register poll. I think even
Something
Jennifer
about Bernie
Palmieri,
here.
who used to work for the Hillary Clinton campaign, came out and said that the winner of that poll had gone on to win the nomination, I think, for the last 6 times in a row. This is a very real possibility that the Democrats are facing. You see a lot of the establishment really beginning to freak out because they don't know how to deal with somebody who's been telling, some truths about the economy and about war. It's really analogous to President Trump's run in 2015 when you saw the exact same thing. All these people who beat the war drum for Iraq, who signed a lot of these trade deals, have really no response. That's what you saw from Joe Biden. He can't even deign to respond to it because there's no defense. He voted for the Iraq war. That's
right.
it.
It's I think, taking a lot of Democrats in Washington by surprise, and this is hardly an endorsement of Bernie, who I think would really hurt the country if he were elected. But I think from their perspective, they're thinking, our future is really a guy who's almost 80, a socialist who's recovering from a heart attack. How did this happen?
The way it happened is that they've failed. They've run this country now.
Yeah, so that's them talking about the election. Saagar, he has some interesting takes, but they're a little bit misguided. But yeah, some of this stuff is incredible. So this is Sean King. Elizabeth Warren's statement today confirms this. Read it carefully. Bernie never said she couldn't beat Trump or that a woman couldn't beat Trump. She began to embellish the details of her private meeting with Bernie with friends soon thereafter. He says he spoke to a source who told him that Elizabeth Warren immediately embellished the words of Bernie Sanders to her friends after the meeting with him in 2018, saying that Bernie said a woman couldn't win, but that he never actually said those words. Disgusting. Yeah, so it is. I mean, there's now there's trending not trending, but hashtags going to block Warren, defund Warren, release the money from because this is just is calling someone sexist out of basically whole cloth is what's going on here. This is just a despicable move, and all I gotta say is Warren needs to be challenged on this. This cannot be allowed to stand. It's just that simple. And Warren can be challenged, I think, now on some other things too. I think the time's come for distinguishing in that arena. We'll be covering the debate right after it happens with an episode of Newsflash for you the following Wednesday morning to recap it all. But yeah, that's what we got. This is Red Alert for this week. My name's Spencer Walsh.